Hey beer nerds, it's Ryan coming at you with Brenda today, and we're going to do a little bit of beer news since it's kind of a cool, wet day here, and there's not a lot going on outside, so we figured we'd come out and drink a beer and do some beer news this week, because a lot actually went on in the world of beer this week to cover.
All right.
But before we get into that, I'm going to pull up the chat. You tell them about what you're going to be drinking today.
All right. I'm having a short pants from Bauhaus. It's a lemon shandy.
Ooh.
I think this is their first year doing it.
Ooh.
And it is everything I've always wanted a shandy to be, and everything I think it should be, but that it never is.
Right. So, here in the upper Midwest, the Leinenkugels Brewery, which I think is a Miller Coors subsidiary, they were the one who really popularized the shandy, at least in this area of the country, but I'm sure in a lot of other parts of the country too. And, now you have a bunch of craft brewers also hanging out and trying to capitalize on that popularity too. So it's interesting to see.
It actually becomes delicious.
And you crack open this can, and from here, just sitting next to her, all I could smell is just lemons.
Lemon.
So, and it's really good and citrusy lemon too.
It's not bad, cheesy, fake lemon. It's actual lemon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is a distinction I now make.
Yeah,
apparently.
that's good stuff too.
And it looks awful pretty. Look at that guy.
Yeah. And that's from Bauhaus Brew Labs.
Yep.
And they're based out of Minneapolis, right?
Yes. And they have some of my favorite graphic design projects.
That can is pretty nice.
All of their stuff is great.
Yeah. They actually have a YouTube channel, one of the few breweries that do. So if you look up the Bauhaus YouTube channel, they do cool commercials for every one of their new releases, and they're hilarious. So really should go check it out, but don't leave the live stream. Do it after. So
if you've ever needed a morph suit in your life, you won't find it here. You can definitely find it there.
That's right. So I am drinking Cabin Fever from New Glarus Brewing Company out of southern Wisconsin. And they have a really, really good lager here. Now, you might think by the name that it's a winter seasonal, but actually it's part of their summer seasonal variety pack because it's named after the longing you get for summer in the middle of winter when you have cabin fever and it's doing nothing but snowing outside.
This is a double play on play.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, but as you can see, as soon as you start pouring out, it's not a winter beer.
No.
It is a great summertime lager. So
sure is pretty. Look at them bubbles.
I know. In this nice big fancy flute glass here. That's right. Look at that. Perfect pour every time, everybody. So there we go.
Every time.
Every time. All right. Let's check the chat. Hey, Dr. Hans, how are you today? Glad to see you're online. I hope you've been, I forget where you're based out of. I hope your team is still in the World Cup. Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head. And then Drunken One, of course, hopped on. No surprise there.
Drunken
Our favorite YouTube friend. So, with that, I got Sweden. See, they are still in it. Yes. All right. Now we got to root for Sweden.
Sweetland.
Yeah.
Wait.
Now we know somebody in Sweden we got to root for. So there we go. Yeah. So I've been watching it fairly regularly.
I have.
It's kind of nice because here you get one game in the morning and one game in the early afternoon, and then you can kind of get on with the rest of your day. Plus, then all the best pubs open up early around here, so you can go if you're so inclined to go get a beer in the morning. You could totally do that.
But I don't want to be awake before noon anyway.
Yeah.
So this doesn't really help me.
Fair enough.
I don't really need this.
Right. So speaking of the World Cup and beer-related issues and Europe, they're actually having a big shortage of CO2 in the UK right now because of increased demands, I think from a lot of the Central European breweries, just really amassing supply to make beer to supply the World Cup. And then a lot of the suppliers are out that normally stock Britain's breweries. So you're actually seeing pubs run out of beers like Heineken and Amstel in the middle of the World Cup. and all the English fans trying to watch. So not only is there increased beer demand, but they're really low on CO2 over there. So it's kind of crazy.
The horror.
I know.
Does that mean there are dry English fans watching football?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Because that's a problem.
I'm pretty sure if they would switch to whiskey, switch to anything else to try and get it out. So
a dry football match sounds like a riot.
Right.
A literal riot.
Yeah, a literal riot.
Not a fun riot, a literal riot.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's pretty crazy to think, and they're not just concerned about it for beer, of course, forest carbonating all those lagers, but they're also concerned about it when it comes to things like meat processing and cooling and preserving different things that normally get shrink wrapped with CO2 because it's non-reactive.
That would make sense. A
lot of things. So yeah, it's really kind of a weird situation they have going on there. And also it's a little weird because as a guy who homebrews but doesn't have a keg or anything, it's weird to think about how important forest carving everything is.
Right.
When I don't do any of that. So,
ever.
Yeah. Hi, Farm All Fanatic. Welcome. We're just chatting about beer here. So yeah, we'll see if the UK can get their stuff together in order to have a better time.
Sounds like an impending crisis, if you ask me.
Right. And then let's see what else happened this week. Canada legalized marijuana, which means that we can get ready to see the marijuana-infused beers. So if you've watched probably any of my videos on hops, I will mention that they're part of the Cannabaceae family, which means they're in the same family as cannabis. So putting weed into beer is actually something that a lot of brewers would love to experiment with because it's almost the same plant. And of course, you'll hear hop heads talk about how a beer is really dank tasting. Now, of course, they're referring to dank weed. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how Canada's brewers take that legalization on. But it's not so much like the first day the law goes into action, they can just start throwing it into batches of beer. Because, of course, there's a million other regulations you have to deal with like, how do you tax a substance that is now made up of two controlled substances that you normally tax? Or, how do you communicate health and safety information to a consumer when you're giving them both a depressant and a psychedelic at the same time? What are the standards going to look like for that? And just the myriad of other things you're going to have to try and figure out when it comes to that. And then, one of the things I think of that doesn't really get considered all the time is like, how do you as a bartender make sure that nobody's getting overserved in either direction? Because like, there's no weed infused beers you can go out and buy here, but like, how do you make sure people aren't falling over their bar stools if they drink a few too many weed infused beers? Or like, what happens when you get really high and drunk at the same time? How do they recognize the signs there? Because like that's the one thing, like drinking at home where you can kind of just collapse onto your couch is one thing, but then totally different separate standards need to be made for the social drinking situations, right?
But Ryan, they can still give me a vodka Red Bull.
That's true.
I'm far more concerned about the vodka Red Bull than I am about the weed-infused beer.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeg bombs have felled more grown beings.
That's true.
Than I think weed-infused beer has.
We have seen a lot of large men fall to Yeg bombs. Let's see. Dr. Hans asks if it's legal to grow at home. I'm assuming it would be up to a certain amount. That's usually how they do. I think that's how California does it. Like you can have a plant, but maybe not. I don't know. Let's see.
I couldn't tell you.
Drunken One says eat more bar snacks. There you go. This is
bar snack
you know
sales.
What? You're right.
Skyrocketing.
You'll want to have a kitchen at your pub
I was thinking if you wanted to open like an artisanal pretzel or popcorn stand, now is the time, Canada.
Right.
Now is the time.
That's right. That's right. And Leonard checks in and he says he's cracking open a nice Bavarian beer right now. We got to get over there. We got to get there
soon. Soon.
That's
next
right.
flight deal.
Yeah, next flight deal. That's right. That's right. So yeah, it's I like, you know, I don't think brewing a beer with weed in it is that hard. I think serving a beer with weed in it is where the real challenge comes in.
Again, I am far more concerned about mixing uppers and downers than most other things.
Yep.
Anytime you put Red Bull in a drink, I get worried.
Yep. A Drunken One says pizza sales are going to go crazy. You're right. There are a lot of industries that's going to be uplifted in Canada by this change.
You know, if Canada Light, the state of Minnesota, happens to hop on this bandwagon, that Surly Pizza place is just going to look so much nicer.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So one piece of bad beer news, though, is that at a baseball stadium in Atlanta, the Atlanta Braves this week, a local inventor actually from Minnesota here died in their beer cooler.
What?
Because he got locked in overnight. After he was a really great beer inventor, and what he basically did is he made you ever notice how you could turn on your faucet at home and water will run out of it really fast, but you turn on a beer tap and it's pretty slow compared to your house faucet, right? Yeah. Well, there's a reason for that. And that's because if it flowed a lot faster, your beer's just going to foam up all over the place, and you're not going to, you know, it's going to take you forever to actually pour an entire beer. So what he did is he basically cut out a lot of that foaming, so you could pour a beer like 2.5 to 3 times faster. And he invented a series of nozzles and tubing that basically allows places that like to pour a lot of beer and, you know, make a lot of money on efficiency, like a ballpark. You can pour tap beer 3 times as fast, serve 3 times as many people, and that of course means you need less beer stands around to meet the demand. But, so, you know, this guy had a really cool product. It's actually on tap locally here with the Minnesota Twins. Yeah, they use that for, I think, a lot of the, you know, the standard fare, the Budweiser, stuff like that. But yeah, he was in Atlanta installing this same system for them. But unfortunately, he got locked in a beer cooler, and you know, I don't need to talk a lot about how that goes down. I think we're
not well. It goes down not well.
Yeah, but like, you know, the world is one less beer inventor. Has one less beer inventor in it.
That's doubly a shame.
This week, I know, and that's my bit of sad news, is that, you know, we lost a great beer inventor who was trying to push the envelopes when it came to beer service. So, yeah.
Also, now all of my small child fears about being locked in a walk-in are suddenly real.
Yeah, I don't know why what safety thing didn't work out or things like that. I'm sure OSHA's already on the scene investigating.
Most of them don't have an inside handle.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there should be something in there.
You would think.
Yeah.
Far be it from me to cast aspersions.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not going in a walk-in for a while.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
Fair enough. Because
I'm guessing one's cell phone doesn't precisely work either.
Yeah, I think that's,
you know, big metal box.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the point.
Insulated metal box.
Yeah. And then another story I found from ABC News, and it's more of an opinion question I want to ask you, because, you know,
I have opinions.
Beer-related reporting is okay
dodgy
on a lot
best.
of the news services. So, you know, it had a cool stat in it, which is why I bring it up. It's that beer shipments from United States breweries overall are down 3.5% for the first 2 quarters this year. Okay. Which, you know, a 4% volume decline is kind of a big deal for 6 months compared to the 6 months prior.
Yeah.
But it seems that, you know, the big 4 beer brands here in the United States, Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light, and Budweiser, are the ones that are dropping the most volume. So, you know, of course, the ABC article, dives into, oh my goodness, all those millennials are killing another industry.
Are we killing beer now?
Well, but it's interesting though, because it's a lot more complicated than just like millennials don't like it, but they also drink more Corona and less Coors.
I've already killed napkins, big box department stores, and at least 4 restaurants. Mm-hmm. I think I can handle killing beer.
Right, but
at this point, I've given in.
Yeah, but it's so much more complicated than people aren't choosing it, because it's like, oh, people are opting for Guinness, Corona, and Michelob, which is kind of AB InBev's low carb offering. So and then wine is also having a bit of a resurgence. It seems to do that about every 10 years too. They seem to have a 5-year increase and then a 5-year decline. So yeah, and then.
But how much is that is responsible for the fact that Yes Way Rosé is now a slogan?
I have never heard that.
Oh, honey.
Yes Way Rosé.
Oh, honey. Be a 20-something-year-old woman.
Oh.
Yes Way Rosé.
Oh dear.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Welcome.
We'll see.
Welcome, friend.
See, that's why I needed your opinion, because you just solved the problem right there. Although
I could also tell you the number of calories in a vodka cran off the top of my head, not because I know the number of calories in a vodka cran, nor do I care about them. So.
It's also I don't know if anybody's heard Heineken's recent ad campaign too, but they're really trying to sell their beer as like, all our beers are imported from our family brewery in Holland, which if you know anything about the Heineken group, I think they own like 160 massive breweries around the world. So like
I've been to at least 2 of them.
And while it may be true that all the beer is imported, I don't know if I would categorize it as a family brewery. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put that a long way from me knowing the 3 people in the family that run the brewery and that.
Right, yeah.
I can't say I was greeted at the bar by Mr. or Mrs. Heineken.
Right, yeah. And it's kind of weird to see. And then, it's not so much that millennials are totally... No,
we killed it. We killed it. It's our fault.
It's not like they're totally giving up on light beer either. It's like we're going ultra light like Michelob, or we're doing like Corona. Like, so it's not so much that like the beer tastes are overly changing. It's just that I guess the branding tastes are somewhat changing. So yeah, although I will say I have enjoyed quite a bit of Modelo Negras this summer. That's been a good thirst quencher for me. Yep. So that's been really tasty. Let's see what else we got going on. And then there's this great Reddit post on the beer Reddit this week that beer review websites are absolute garbage. And I wanted to get your opinion on it.
I agree.
Because, okay.
I need anything more?
Well, see, here we go. So, like, the user kind of complains that only IPAs really get high scores, which I think is relatively true. There's definitely a bias towards, West Coast IPAs, really juicy IPAs, and really big stouts. Like, I think, Haze.
Haze.
You know what? That's a great idea. Let's do a Haze zombie video.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. You heard it first. Nobody steal that. We're watching you. Okay.
I like it. I'm in.
All right. Anyway, but it's weird. So like this user just rants about that, and then they'll complain that like a nice lager, like they really enjoy the Sierra Nevada Summerfest lager, which is I think it's actually a pretty good beer. But they're like it gets a 36 out of 100 score, but then its score in the style is a 73.
Right.
So it's like, is it really a shit beer if it's one of the best in the styles?
Right.
Because people just rate it low. Either maybe they don't like Sierra Nevada has a part ownership deal with a big brewery, or maybe, or maybe they just don't
rate beer on who owns the.
Absolutely, they do. People love to crap on breweries who get bought out or partially bought out. Yeah.
I mean, I know people love to crap on them, but like, you guys, just drink the beer.
No, so like
I don't have have time to run the spreadsheet to keep all these straight
Right.
anymore.
So
if I'm ordering the beer and I like the beer, I drink the beer.
Right. And then there's the whole thing too about how, you know, beer is incredibly subjective, especially.
Hi.
Yeah, I know we have very different tastes a lot of the time, for sure.
Hi.
Yeah. So a lot of people are like, why do we even go on with these beer rating websites? I think they're really useful for tracking your own personal taste.
Right.
Though. So, you know, if I walk into a brewery, I need to remember if I like a particular beer or not, or what my favorite beer is that I need to go make sure I have again. You know, I think it's incredibly useful for that sort of thing.
Well, and we've had that debate innumerable times of, well, okay, I'm on Untappd. Do I rate it by do I like it? Do I rate it by I like it for what it is? Do I like it in general? Do I dislike it, but I understand that this is a quality product?
Right.
It's like, where on the spectrum does this fall?
And I think all of those are pretty valid ways to measure a beer too. So it's kind of like, it's like if you go into somebody's rating, we try to very numerically rate these beers, then it's like, okay, I need to look into the motive and assign a motive to that score.
Right.
And then figure it out from there. But not everybody has the same motive too. So it's kind of crazy.
And yeah, it's like you could give me the best sour beer.
Yep.
It could be cheesy and funky and wonderful and the fruitiest thing I've ever had, and I will suck them down all day. I'm going to go 10 out of 10, best beer I've ever had, perfect. If I hand that to you, you're going to spit it back in my face. You go, this is the worst thing I've ever put in my mouth.
Yeah.
Please stop it.
Yeah.
Probably not going to go 10 out of 10. Same thing if you hand me one of your incredibly piney IPAs. I'm not going to like that.
Right.
I don't want that.
Right.
But then again, I also shouldn't be rating it.
Yeah.
I'm not the person that should tell you which IPAs are good.
Oh, but now are you gatekeeping yourself?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Yes, I am. Is that wrong?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yes, I am gatekeeping myself because I know I wouldn't regularly drink it.
Yeah.
Therefore, I shouldn't regularly be rating it.
Yeah.
I will check things in without a rating.
Okay. Yeah.
If it's something that I say, I have accidentally ordered a thing, more than anyone, I can get excited about the words mango and citrus, and for some reason read pale ale.
Yep.
And don't just put in P and the A and understand that I've made a terrible mistake. And proceed to order this thing and promptly be disgusted.
Yep.
Because I read all of the words. I liked all of the words. I missed the very important words that say, Brenda will not like this beer, and drink it anyway.
Right.
I want to know that I had that later on so I can say, hey, I tried this. I hated it. You, Ryan, might like it. Here's the name of that thing I had that I think you might like. But I don't need to tell the world what I personally thought of it.
That's very courteous of you to do.
This only applies for beers 1 through 3 of the night.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
After that, all bets are
off.
All
bets are
after
off.
beer 3? Okay.
At that point, I also won't be so offended by an incredibly hoppy profile anyways, so fair game.
Right. All right. Going back to the chat, looks like Drunken One and Dr. Hans are both going to steal our Hey Zombie video. So looks like we're a little screwed there. Burning Beard is in. Welcome.
Hey.
Yep. And then Dr. Hans says he always rates beers for what they are, which I think is what I try to do too, for the most part. Yeah, it's really good. And then Burning Beard also comments that when the big guys buy out the small guys, sometimes they change the recipes, which, yeah, I think that happens a lot of the time. I think, well, think about it. Like, not only are you getting purchased, but then what comes with it are all these supplier contracts that your bigger brand has. So suddenly you may have been using some small hop farm that was pretty local to you. Well, now for 1/3 of the cost, you can buy hops along with your parent company, and suddenly your beer changes both in price but also in flavor. So I that definitely happens a lot of the time, and it's probably not intentional, but it because like clearly, if you owned a business and you could cut your costs by 2/3, you would probably do that right away. But there's just no way to see 2 years down the road after you've changed 4 suppliers, you know, how that changes everything.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Burning Beard makes a great point there. And it's not so much intentional that they're totally trying to just like cut out the flavor of the beer, but I think it comes like, you know, it comes with just, you know, you have all these advantages and you want to take them.
Right.
You know?
If I can buy my hops in bulk and just use the same hop profile all around and it saves me a bunch of money, you can bet I am not screwing around with single row special farmer. We only shake hands in the bright light of noon on every other Wednesday to get my hops.
Yep.
Like, I personally want to go there, but...
Yeah, and then Burning Beard and Drunken One, we're talking about Elysian, which is probably one of the best examples of this, for especially if you like hoppy beers.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, but yeah, there definitely were some pretty big changes. Oh, Dr. Hans thanks me for the pop filter, which, yes, you're very welcome. I know I was shaking your house for a while there, so I apologize. And then Burning Beard also makes the point that the name and the marketing don't change.
Oh, of course not.
Which, you know, if Wicked Weed got bought out and then changed all their beer names, you know, you might say that's a little more honest than just keeping the same names and keeping all the same.
Oh, but no way on earth would I ever do it. If I put all that time and money, the entire reason you're buying out that company is because they've got such a great brand presence. Let's be real. If they're going to go through and change the content of the beer, they're not looking for, oh, this is the best beer ever, we must have it in our portfolio. True. You're looking for people recognize this. People buy this, people drink this. If you're going through and changing the name and the branding and the marketing, I don't know what this is anymore. We had a hard enough time tracking down those stupid juice bar cocktails and whatever they are and their 12 rebrandings.
Right.
Like, all I want to know is who makes these and where I find them.
And I still don't think we've already figured that out all the way.
We still have no idea.
Burning Beard says that's why he buys local.
Hey!
You know, I think we're pretty into that by this point. I don't know if I don't purchase a lot of the big national brands. Maybe if I'm out with some friends and it's on tap, but other than that, you know.
Even then, I'll usually pick through, is there a local craft beer I like? Is there a regional craft beer I like? Is there a craft beer I like? What do you have for liquor?
Yep.
Because I'm the millennial killing the beer industry.
Well, you know, and we're sitting here drinking Minnesota and Wisconsin craft beer today. So there we go.
I was going to say, we're about equidistant between.
Right. You hear any beer news lately? There was a rumor that Russia was running out of beer, but, you know, they got a couple more trucks over. Everything worked out fine. Like,
I'll admit all of my beer news is hyper local, but boy, can I tell you everybody that had a release this week.
Oh, well,
because everybody had a release this week.
Are you seeing any trends in those releases? Like
Gozas. Everybody's got a Goza on this summer. I don't know if it's just because we had the heat wave of all Minnesota heat waves that happens every year. Usually it's July. Mm-hmm. This year it was almost July. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people were tapping Gozas that were slotted for later in the summer early.
Yeah.
And just forcing them through the line.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting to see. I think it captures a little bit on the popularity of a sour. Right. You know, but it's certainly no like barrel-aged sour monster.
They're so crushable and drinkable, even if you don't like sours.
Yep. Yeah. Burning Beard says he loves Gozas too, so there we go. Yeah. Woo! I do like a good Goza.
I love a good Goza, a bad Goza, a mediocre Goza.
Right.
The other latest one I've been noticing that, again, it just makes me angry. I had a bit of an existential crisis with the beer world and kind of told Ryan that if I see the word hazy one more time, I'm quitting. I'm becoming a tequila snob instead. I'm giving up because I don't drink IPAs. I don't care about IPAs. I like fruit. I like juice. I don't need that beer. I don't. If I see the word hazy.
Right.
So the latest one in the last month has been everybody has got a veritable soda shop of milkshake IPAs. Peach and blueberry and cherry and watermelon.
Yeah.
None of these things. I like all of those things individually.
Right.
I would like them as a milkshake. I would like them as a smoothie. I would like them as juice. And then I threw pine needles and grass in it and decided it was delicious.
I mean, it tastes really good. Just saying.
You kettle sour it and we'll talk. You can have it as the IPA. I'll take it sour.
Oh, goodness.
Then we'll chat.
Yeah, the haze craze is definitely strong this year. I mean, it's kept up the momentum pretty well.
I'm starting to get bitter about it.
We went into a brewery that is known for its porters and stouts. What was that? Friday night?
Friday night.
Yeah, we went in Friday night this week. And they had, I think, 2 what you would qualify as hazy IPAs on tap.
Yes.
Yeah, they had one that they called a milkshake and one they just called hazy. So it's really interesting to see. And like, I get it. You gotta chase the trends a little bit because you know what? You got a business to run at the end of the day. But you know, it is really interesting to see a brewery that is known almost exclusively for porters and stouts just almost do a complete 180 to get on this trend. And like I said, I totally get it, but it's interesting to me.
Well, and you know, it's like that article you shared on Facebook that we had a discussion about a couple months ago now.
Yeah.
Is brewing an IPA selling out? No. You can brew whatever you want and whatever gets drunk. That's fine.
Right.
I don't have to like it. If I don't like it, I'm going to vote with my feet.
Mm-hmm.
If everybody else votes with their feet that they love the hazy IPA you did, great. Good for you. Stay in business. I will see you in October when you break out the porters.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's all I need. If the months of May through September are yours for the hopheads, fine. I will find other things to drink.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But if I hear the word hazy one more time.
So, funnily enough, Burning Beard asks about the other more insane beer trend of glitter beer. And I have not had a glitter beer yet. I don't think you've had one either, have you?
No. I have not yet been drug into a glitter. I don't even know. Oh, that's a total lie. I know where you find one.
Yeah, where do we find one?
Modest had one.
You know what?
The other day.
You know what? We might just have to go over and
we don't.
Give a video to the people.
No,
come
no,
on.
We don't.
You know, it's all good.
I hate glitter. I singularly hate glitter.
Well, don't you just want to? You can just eat it and have your stomach break it down to
glitter.
Yeah.
Glitter.
Yeah, really get your revenge on it. You know.
I don't know. No, I want to. Okay, now I might have to do this just for science experiment. What happens to glitter?
Ooh.
I can't share this with any of you, but I need to know.
Yo, that sounds like a beer science video coming up. We could do a real experiment this time.
I feel uncomfortable sharing my experiment results. You do whatever you want. I think this will be a one-person experiment.
You know, it seems the chat has noticed that I finished my beer already because it was so good and tasty.
You did kind of slam through that. You had such a large glass, and it went by so quickly.
Well, can you hold down the fort while I get another one? Do you need another one?
Can you trust me to hold down?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yay!
Yeah. So, do do you need another one? Or
surprise me. If we happen to have more short, I feel like I'm a short.
There's another one in there. If you want it.
I love it. Mm-hmm. These things are crushable at 4.5%. Not that is high by any means, but yes, Burning Beard. That is precisely what I am assuming would happen. Again, I'm not going to share my results. You ask him. That's all. No, we are getting very big into the summer beers, but we had a friend come up this weekend that is dark beers only, great stuff. Could not find one for the life of us. I think we had the websites pulled up for 3 different breweries. It's like, okay, these guys are really great for their Schwarz beers, but these guys are really great for their porters and stouts. IPA sours, which, to be fair, I'm never going to complain about there being too many sours in the world, but it's getting a bit much. Dr. Hans, no, I'm not telling you nasty things about Ryan. He can definitely still hear me from the other room. And he's definitely the one bringing me beer. So I'll pretend he's a nice, lovely gentleman and has never done a thing wrong in the, oh, hi! Thank you, dear. Can't make fun of the man bringing me beer. Drunken one, I really hope he doesn't show you the sparkly poop. For everyone's sake. Especially mine. Because that sounds like an entire phone I don't accidentally want to flip through. Oh, are you bringing a friend?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. Was our friend friendly?
Yeah.
All right, kids, if I get smacked in the glasses in the next second, it is the fault of this cute little lioness.
I know. She is very nice. We just got a new kitten. Which is why I've been so busy and missed an upload this week. But she is so sweet.
Disclaimer. Here's our PETA disclaimer. Yes, she is too young for us to have her. Yes, she is only between 7 to 8 weeks old. We are aware. She's a farm rescue kitten. She was abandoned. We are her caretakers. It's all okay.
Oh, well, thank you for covering for me. I'm sure. I don't know if anybody on this stream would have called you out on that.
Just saying, I've run animal PR for so long.
There you go. Very nice.
Calf halters do not strangle the animal. Milk is okay. Mm-hmm. Kittens are fine. Yeah, everyone is safe.
That's right. All right, so I got a new cat and a new beer. This one is New Glarus's Moon Man, which is their delicious. I think their regular pale ale. They call it a no coast pale ale because it's from the Midwest, so we have no coast.
Do you need me to take a shoulder, cat, while you pour beer?
Sure.
Oh yes, hello, Mela.
Yep, and this beer, it's just so pretty. I mean, there's not a beer they make that doesn't look really good, but this one in particular just is an extremely well balanced and well hopped pale ale, and I would drink it a lot.
And I will say, as much as I just spent the last 15 minutes hating on pale ales in all of their many and varied forms, I love that beer. I love that beer.
Yeah, it's that good.
If that tells you anything about balance, even I love that one.
Yeah. Do we feed the kitten glitter beer? No. I've been considering doing a video about cats and beer now, and
oh my god, you guys! I turned him into a cat person. I don't know how this happened.
I don't know if there's a ton of data out there about what happens when you feed a cat beer. I think it's bad.
Well, hops are toxic to both dogs and cats. So I would assume so.
Yeah, so sounds bad.
Because that's one of the things I know a lot of homebrewers that have to get really concerned about their dogs getting into the garbage after brew day,
right?
And snacking on some delicious, delicious hops,
right?
And then dying.
Because
bad idea. I mean, she's been really fun just having to learn about all the things that are toxic to cats.
Right, yeah.
Plant-wise.
Yeah.
Let alone food-wise.
Yeah.
As we have garden and succulent heaven out here.
Yeah. But, the Egyptians, they pretty much worshipped beer. They worshipped cats. So there are some interesting connections there, at least, that might be worth exploring.
Well, and you have your medieval brew wife tie-in with witches and their familiars.
That's right.
The pointed hats and brooms.
Yep, and they would keep cats around the alewives' homes to make sure no vermin got into the brewing supplies. Yeah.
All right, cats and beer.
Yeah, well, see, look,
All right,
we've done half a video already right here.
No
Look at
stealing
that.
it.
Drunken One says this glass makes a lot of beers look good. So that's a
And like
fair
a lot
point.
of beer.
Yeah, that's right. This is just a 12-ounce
It's
bottle.
a very impressive amount
and
of beer.
It looks very fancy.
Mela, you're gonna fall right off my shoulder. Thank you, honey. She just wants to see all the plants she's not allowed to eat.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see what else has been going on in the world of beer.
I've been drinking it.
Beavertown in London got acquired. A minority stake bought by the Heineken Group. But that was like 2 weeks ago, and a bunch of other people did videos on it. So I don't know, whatever. Dr. Hans is stealing a second video idea here. So you know what? Maybe we should just do a live stream, and everybody can put $5 in a super chat, and we'll just rattle off beer video ideas.
Everybody claims their videos
for an hour. How about that?
I like
and then
it.
everybody can take them. You know what? We'll I'll work on that. Yeah.
Workshop that one a little bit. Or for $5, you can also have a cat sit on your shoulder while you two do beer videos.
Hello, chat. You have any questions? Otherwise, I can look for more beer articles. I don't
Beer
know.
facts.
Or beer facts. Yeah, you never know.
We almost never run out of those.
I can always pull up my list of video ideas.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Can't do that.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, Brenda, this one might interest you. So Oregon is trying to start a reusable glass bottle program.
Like pop machine style?
Yeah.
All right.
They're...
Do I get my deposit back?
I don't know about that.
Oh.
But there are a couple craft brewers and I think a nonprofit that are trying to use these 12-ounce refillable bottles. So, a normal standard bottle you'd get here.
Right.
Is fairly sturdy, but, it's not going to stand up to any sort of punishment. And the way it's constructed, it's really meant for a single use only.
Really?
A home brewer like me will jack it and use it again because I definitely value the bottles. But, I and all the homebrewers we have in chat right now, we're not your average consumer taking nice care of these bottles.
Fair enough.
Rinsing them out after we use them.
Fair enough.
Things like that. So, and then just beyond that, though, after 3 or 4 trips through the beer cycle, it's about time to retire your bottle.
Yeah.
It may have gotten a nick or two by that point. It may have been damaged in some way. Or just after getting shipped.
Right.
4 or 5
I was going to say,
times.
we're also not bouncing them around across the country.
That's exactly right.
Across the street for that matter.
They go into my kitchen, get drunk, stay in the kitchen, get cleaned, So
occasionally make it to a boat.
Yeah, that's right.
That's about it. Mela, honey.
So, these bottles are fairly good. They're kind of thick, but the ones they're doing, they're almost twice as thick as something like, so it's quite a bit more material, and you would get about 20 uses out of a bottle like that.
Okay.
So, it's definitely a fair bit higher in terms of the amount of beer you can pour into one of these bottles.
Right.
But at the same time, though, it has the same challenge that those reusable 6-pack rings have.
Right.
Is that
do people ever actually reuse them?
See, that's exactly right.
Okay. I was like, can you? Where do you even?
Well, if you go to the bottle shop, you got your reusable 6-pack from. They're gonna have a little bin in the store where you put that, where you put it back in. You're supposed to put those. That's where you see. But that's the thing, you just walk in and buy some beer.
Right.
It's reusable. You think, oh, that's really cool, but then you don't do any. You drink the beer. You don't do any of the follow-up work.
No.
To actually learn about where you might return them. And then you just end up throwing them in the recycling bin. Right. Assuming they're recyclable.
Wish cycling.
Yeah, that's right. Wish cycling, for sure. So, I feel like if a lot of consumers can't even get down the basics on those reusable 6-pack rings, I don't know how they're going to be able to return bottles.
Well, and even how many times have we had the problem of oh, well, we have a growler from this place, but did we remember to bring it?
Yes. Right. Yep.
How many growlers have we forgotten at home and then not done growler fills purely for the sake of not having an additional growler?
Right. Dr. Hans asks if we recycle glass bottles over here in the U.S. The answer is we do. They don't like if I put this in the recycling, it doesn't become another bottle. It becomes what?
Malt glass.
Malt glass. Yeah. So it gets used for other industrial purposes, right?
Yeah.
Generally, a lot of building materials too.
Yes.
Will utilize this. So recycling this bottle does not turn it into glass. It turns it into other building or industrial materials.
Well, and Drunken One has actually made a really great point that, in the city we recycle them. My parents just got recycling.
Yeah,
we didn't
out on the farm.
We didn't have recycling my entire young adult life.
Right.
You took your recycling to a recycling center.
Right.
It didn't come to you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, we recycled because that was just one more thing we didn't have to get rid of. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't just a service that was provided to the citizenry.
Right.
That was something you had to take on yourself.
Right.
But yeah, I like the idea. I have questions.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at too. I think it's a good idea in concept, and of course, as a super bum home brewer, I would love to have some big, thick bottles I could buy in a store that were full of beer.
Now that I say this, I take it back. I remember the questions I have. So when I was in Prague at our hostel, the hostel I was staying at had a deal with a local brewery that every beer they stocked in the beer fridge was from that same brewery. The cider was from a different cidery. It was only those two options.
Mm-hmm.
The beer was cheap because they bought it in bulk and had this deal, and
Yep.
we just paid for it at cost. So they weren't operating as a bar. They were just providing beer to the hostel residents. But you had to, and you were supposed to turn in your hostel mates who did not do so, put your beer bottle back in the special rack. And I mean, I grew up with I know I'm the weird one here. Again, I grew up in not the most populous place in the world. We still had glass pop machines. So when you were done with your pop, you brought your pop bottle back, put it in the pop bottle rack,
mm-hmm.
got your nickel back.
Right.
That's right. I got my nickel back. Peace. But so it was just a natural thing that, the next time you got your pop, you brought your last bottle back.
Right.
The next time you got a next pop, you bought your last bottle back.
Yep.
So I could see it happening, but we also live in such a transitory environment with our beer now that I'm not entirely certain it would happen.
Right.
And it's the fallacy of the brown paper bag that if you aren't recycling it properly or going through the proper channels, is the amount of raw material used better or worse?
Right.
Depending on, so there's an argument that, plastic bags, single-use plastic bags are better than brown paper bags environmentally, just because there's less material input.
Right. Whereas they're so thin. Yep.
Right. Whereas, yes, if you went through and properly recycled your brown paper bag and only used them if you've forgotten your other bag, that they could be the more sustainable option.
That's the thing. That's 2 to 3 times the material of this gets wasted every time, it doesn't get reused. So, yeah, I guess it just depends on how good people are at adopting. I got to catch up on chat now. Tim, welcome. Oh, no worries. That's good discussion.
I get chatty.
I like it.
None of these people don't know that I get chatty.
Yeah,
so.
That's true. Tim's here. Hi, Tim. Welcome.
Hey, Tim.
Let's see. Drunken One wanted to know why gnats are so attracted to beer, which I think is an interesting question I'll have to look into sometime soon.
Spontaneous generation. Gnats come from beer.
Yeah, gnats are born from beer. That's right. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's a good theory. I'll look into that one.
Hey, crazy cat.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got going on here. Dr. Hahn says they pay a little more for reusable bottles and get the money back when they return them. So yeah, that seems to be a good.
The deposit logic.
Yep, the deposit logic seems to work well. Mm-hmm. Burning Beard says we throw them into lakes and rivers, and there is definitely a river that people love to tube down. And for those who aren't are from the United States. That means you get a big inflatable inner tube and you just sit in the inner tube and float down the river while you consume copious amounts of beer. Yeah, there's one river around here that probably lined with aluminum cans and glass bottles on the bottom.
It's paved.
That's probably
between the bottle caps and the cans.
Yep,
it's paved in beer.
Yeah, you want to wear shoes.
It's also mostly beer.
Yeah.
In the contents of the river.
Mm-hmm. And
you know, processed beer, unprocessed beer.
Right. Yep.
Recycled beer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a funny one. Let's see. Did I catch up on chat? Mostly. Oh, Burning Beard asks if we were to send a beer, would we try them live? Yes, absolutely. Our good friends from Hops and Bros.
Wait, I said yes so enthusiastically. I'm like, no, wait. You're gonna send me the hoppiest thing in the history of the planet in like an unmarked can, aren't you?
No. Yeah, the unmarked can. It's a mystery beer. So actually, who does mystery beer? I think Massive Beer Reviews. So he had when his fans will send him a beer just wrapped in a piece of paper, you know.
Oh, okay.
So that like no, they don't take the label off.
I'm like
they send him a beer wrapped in paper, and then he'll chill it down and drink it, and then unwrap it. So he tries to figure out what it is before, you know.
Please tell me he has someone else like check that it is indeed beer before drinking it.
You know, I never thought about the relative risk of that, but you're right. It's there.
I'm willing to put a lot of trust into the BrewTube community. I am not willing to put that much trust into internet strangers.
Yeah, that's right.
You're all wonderful. Please don't poison me. Thanks.
Jim Brew TV, welcome. Cheers. And Jada Diva's here too. Yeah. You know what? We have now we have quite a few gardeners in here, and then I think. Was it Burning Beard or Dr. Hans? I think a little earlier asked if we were growing any hops this year. It was Dr. Hans. So no, we're not growing hops yet, mostly because we're still renting a place.
I keep trying to convince him to.
We don't want to condemn our landlord to having a hop vine forever and always. Because once that thing gets going, it will probably take over the whole garage.
To be fair, the garage would be much better served by a hop vine than the current state of garage.
True. Fair enough. But do you want to give us a garden update? Since we have so many gardeners in the chat right now.
Well, our garden
and I know Jada Diva keeps bees too. So
what?
Yeah.
I want to keep bees again. Renting. So our garden update is a little interesting. This year, I switched from a 4x8 raised bed in a community garden to an 8x20 foot in-ground bed, also at a community garden. And actually, it's really cool. The garden I've set up with does an active plot and a fallow plot. So every year you flip-flop where you're actually planting crops so you're not depleting the soil. And actually, we do a cover crop that's soil replenishing. This year, I think it's ground peas and clover. I need to plant mine. I am the worst. Whoops. So there's been a lot of experimenting this year, trying to do a lot more things that take up space. Get out of my beer. Go away. You distracting me with plants so you can steal my beer? You son of a gun. So this year it's been a lot of experimenting, growing bigger crops, trying to do corn, obviously a lot harder in a raised bed than it is in the ground. And I come from a land of corn, so it's been kind of killer not having fresh sweet corn. We also have a 4x8 bed out in the backyard that our homeowner put in, which is great. But that at the moment is all lettuce and herbs.
Yep.
So poor Ryan has eaten so many salads.
Oh, darn.
Trying to work through our incredible amount of lettuce that has happened. Yeah, a lot of squash. Trying some watermelon this year. I had some very nice 3-foot tall sunflowers. Until I met our resident deer.
Mm-hmm.
And resident deer had a wonderful snack of sunflowers.
Right.
So I'm a little upset, but also I can't be too upset because resident deer didn't eat anything that I eat. But also I was so looking forward to sunflowers.
Right.
And they were in the best part of the garden. I'd reserved that place for them.
Yes.
They were so lovely.
Yeah.
And doing so well.
They were getting so tall.
And now they're 18 inches tall with one set of leaves, and they're never going to come back.
No, they are not, unfortunately.
But yeah, things are looking good.
Yeah.
Poor Ryan over here has gotten his fair share of weeding in this
That's
summer
all right.
already.
That's all right. It's been good.
You eat, you weed.
Yeah, that's right. Gotta pay the dues.
That's how this works. We're also growing succulents for our upcoming wedding. I say we. I'm growing succulents for our upcoming wedding. So our house is currently full. We do not have a single inch to put another plant. We cannot open the windows.
Yeah, if it wasn't terrible to rotate the camera around this room, I would show all of the how every windowsill is packed with succulents and plants. So yeah,
it's full.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, we have 96 individually potted favor succulents, and we're planting out 10 centerpieces.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a lot of plants.
See, but Jaded Diva is on my side because you mentioned that they had an ornamental hop plant, but it definitely turned into a big mess. So yeah, like I said, I don't want to condemn our landlord to that mess forever.
Well, I did just do all of his landscaping and redid his entire front lawn.
Fair enough.
So
fair enough.
I have points.
Yep.
In my favor.
Yep. And then Jim Brew TV says there is always room for more plants. Please don't say that. She'll take you up on that.
I only bought 2 more today. Herbs were 75 cents for 3-inch pots, and I got really excited.
That's a pretty good deal, I guess. Yep. Jada Diva says community gardening is awesome. So way to go. Mm-hmm.
They're the best.
Yep. Yeah.
Dr. Hunt, you have moose invading your garden?
Whoa.
Hang on. I thought I was northern.
No, not that northern.
I'm just trying to picture somebody coming in from the garden. What's up? Well, a moose ate the zucchini.
Yeah, that sounds difficult to keep a moose out.
Also, like, you can't scare that away.
No, not really. No, a deer will run away from you.
Like, if I find the deer, or we also have a resident woodchuck. So I'm like, if I see the deer or the woodchuck, we're going to go yelling. I don't want to take on moose. Moose sounds like a critter I'm going to leave alone to eat my garden. Mm-hmm. We're just going to peace on out and back away.
Yeah, that's right. See, look, you and Jim Brew TV need to hang out because, he said he spent more on plants than beer this spring and summer. So there you go. Yep, that sounds exactly right.
Admittedly, I've kind of been following the Drunken One philosophy. I haven't been putting the beer at the end of the row. I've just been putting the beer at home in the fridge.
Yep, that's right.
So when I get to the end of the row, I can go to the fridge. Mm-hmm. But it's led to equal quantities of gardening and beer. Mm-hmm. Jim Brew. Suggest turning the woodchuck into cider. Bad joke. Yo, also not a great cider, but bad joke.
What did you think of that cider?
I'm not a fan.
Not for you?
I've heard they had a dry one that's actually pretty good. I just haven't had it yet.
Yeah, we're both very into the dry ciders.
Ever since I got the Lionheart that wasn't like immediately heartburn and like sugar rush.
Yeah.
I'm spoiled.
Mm-hmm. That was a good one for sure.
Those were U of M students, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Made that one? Mm-hmm. What was the whole deal on that? They made a cider that was less refined sugar. Right.
They were really kind of, that was right before gluten-free became really big too. So they were getting in really early on that trend too. So that's why they were really successful. Was they were starting really big on the, hey, cider's gluten-free, everybody.
Hey, gluten-free ice.
Meanwhile, we're sitting here with our lovely gluten beers. Yeah, yay gluten.
So much gluten.
Mm-hmm.
And they were business students too, right?
Yeah,
they weren't even in like brewing. They just liked beer and were.
Why
is everyone a business student that got into brewing?
Maybe that's everybody I introduced you to, huh?
Valid.
Maybe those are all my friends.
Fair enough.
Is that that's what happened?
The ones that like beer, the ones that brew beer, the ones that study beer.
Yeah, that's right.
I could get used to this.
Yeah, and then we got a bunch of beer loving people watching us too. So there you go. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Another cool beer Reddit post I saw recently too was about breweries paying off people to write them nice reviews on beer websites.
Oh.
Well, so it's kind of expected because everybody does that for Yelp, but
I suppose
if you're essentially running Yelp for beer, the same kind of abuses are going to happen.
I guess.
Yeah.
Still disappointing, but I understand the logic.
Mm-hmm. Drunken One asks, why does ABV correspond with calories? I think there's a relatively simple answer to that. And that is that ethanol or alcohol, the ethanol is the compound we refer to as alcohol, because you don't want any of the other alcohols because they're terrible
methanol
for
doesn't
you.
work.
Yeah, because they're terrible for you. But the main reason ABV tends to correspond with calories is that ethanol is a compound your body turns into energy. So, the more alcohol or ethanol there is in a beer, the more energy your body can extract, and calories, all they are actually a rather poor measure of energy by that too. A lot of times people are pretty, surprised to learn that the calories, whatever is reported on your food packaging or whatever, are almost a lot of the times not even close to the amount of energy your body will actually extract from that food source. Because everybody's body is really, really different. So the amount of calories you're going to get from any one given thing versus what's reported is just totally different. But yeah, essentially ethanol is an energetic compound your body uses. So more alcohol you have in a beer, the more energy you're going to get, the more caloric it is. Now, whether or not your body extracts all of that caloric value is a totally different conversation that I'm not sure I can dive entirely into today.
Yeah. Ryan's heard me make this analogy before, but I put calories and vitamins in the same lump sum category. Like, we have a general idea of what's going on, but really we have no idea what's going on, and what's going on may not apply to you.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yep. Yep.
Might be close, might be entirely wrong.
Yeah, and Dr. Hans also very correctly points out that your body reacts to alcohol energy very differently than, say, if you just drank sugary soda. It's two completely different processes that are kind of going on to extract energy from those. But again, how much energy your body's going to get out of it is totally different person to person. And the more I learn about the more science that gets done around the gut microbiome, what bacteria live in your intestinal tract, that totally changes whether or not, you can even drink beer and have a pleasant experience.
Right.
Or B, how much energy you're going to get out of that beer too. So it's like totally in depth, and we're just starting to learn what bacteria do what in there.
At this point, I'm completely convinced I, as a person, do not exist. It's all the gut microbiome.
Well, you might have more bacteria in you than you do human cells. There's great debate amongst the scientific community whether there are more teeny weeny tiny bacteria cells in you, or there are more, relatively large human cells in your body at any given time.
It's like that whole biological theory of like, are we controlling plants or are plants controlling us? I'm like, oh no, I will accept. I am not in control here. I got it.
Yep.
I understand.
Jim Brew TV says his gut is full of yeast, which, yes, I drink way too much homebrew for that not to be true. For sure.
That is fair.
Right. Yeah, very yeasty. Beer Patrol shows up. Hey, how you doing? Gut microbiome. Yeah, we just got into the real nerdy stuff. You missed all the actual beer news, and now we're just ranting.
If anyone actually you can't watch, listens to Gastropod, the podcast about the food and science and history of food. I'll get that. in the right order. There's a pseudo drinking game where one takes shots every time either of the hosts says the words gut microbiome. Except they have to warn you that you can't actually play because you'd be dead.
Right.
Because they are very into the gut microbiome.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's a big deal in terms of just how you react to any given thing you put in your face. You know?
I was gonna say, and not even just the differences in how your body processes alcohol as energy versus anything else as energy, but even how your body processes different types of alcohol in different sorts of ways.
Right.
The difference between how you metabolize beer versus how you metabolize any number of liquors if you react differently to vodka or gin or rum or tequila. And coming from somebody who has kind of extreme differences between how I personally metabolize all of those things, it's something you didn't know was important until it was important.
Oh no, Dr. Hans just raised insulin production and consumption too, which is another just total wrinkle in how your body does anything. Is how much are you spiking in insulin? How quickly are you getting rid of insulin? Which is just totally dictates how much fat you'll produce versus how much energy you'll burn versus how energetic or lethargic you're going to feel after a particular meal. Oh my goodness, it's been
if and when your alarm goes off.
So the crazy thing to me is, obviously beer is tasty and wonderful. It's slightly poisonous. I think we all understand that.
So is oxygen.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, but the more we learn about the human body and the gut microbiome and things like insulin spikes and how digestion, really into the nitty-gritty about it. It's just crazy to me the more about how your standard food pyramid as the things the government turns out as nutritional recommendations just don't seem to make sense, or at least they make sense only to a very small portion of people. Yeah. And it blows my mind the more I learn about it. And maybe I have to do a video on beer and the gut microbiome and things like that.
Good luck.
Yeah, I know.
Are you doing a video or a thesis?
Yeah, fair enough.
Because you could devote years to this.
Mm-hmm.
Where's our Hops and Bros guy learning more about everything beer related?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I've forgotten which one you are.
Yeah, Max went off to study beer in Niagara. Yeah, he went off to study beer in Niagara, so that was really cool. Yeah,
we have a thesis proposal.
Yeah, that's right. Dr. Hans says the Germans produce really dry beers for diabetics. I didn't actually know that. That's
brilliant.
A really cool fun fact.
What?
Yeah. And apparently, Burning Beard, Chimbrew TV makes the joke that Flint water is bad for you, which, yeah, that's very true. Burning Beard said, apparently there's a new brewery in Flint, which I don't know if I would ever trust the beer. Unless he's joking and... Oh, he is joking because it's called The Lead Pipeworks. Yeah, I don't think anybody's opening. Yeah, I don't think anybody's actually opening a brewery in Flint. Very good, very funny, very funny. I like that joke. That was a good one.
Drunken One is apparently stealing all of our videos.
Oh man,
Yep,
Drunken One and Dr. Hans are gonna have videos for weeks now. We give too much content.
Well, we'll be at the lake. You can have them.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I'm busy.
Joe asked if he went off to study at the Niagara Beer College. That's exactly right. He did go off to study there. So, it was really cool because his bro on Hops and Bros, Chris, made him a great video, a send-off video. So, and they're still churning out content too, even working remote. So cool. Yeah, it's been good to see.
Well, maybe we can go for a quick visit to one or both of them.
I agree. No doubt. I have a lot of Canadian friends to go see now.
Yes.
including
yes,
including heading over to see Albino Rhino at he runs a beer festival.
I was gonna say, having been in this live chat
Mm-hmm.
I learned so much about the Canadian not legal system, police system.
Yeah,
I guess
that's exactly right.
say.
Yep.
That was the greatest refresher.
Right. Jim Brew TV does correct us, though. Apparently, there is a Tenacity Brewing in Flint. So,
all right.
You know what? Might have to try it. But yeah, yeah. Joe says let's go across the border together, and then yep. So yeah, I think we'll have to do that. I think we just missed it though. It was a little earlier this summer, so I have to wait another year.
I do have a slight thing against beer festivals in the summer.
Yeah, so we go to one beer festival a year.
In the dead of winter.
It's in the dead of winter, and we really love it because beer makes you warmer. And that's why we go. Yeah. And so you get about...
Also, we got lucky this year and there was a blizzard. So everyone who wasn't there strictly for the quality of beer and the beers you can't get in our area left.
That's right. We got about 6 inches of snow over like the 5 hours we were there.
And it's one of those places where they give you the tasting glass.
Yep.
And if you drop your glass, you are immediately shamed by everyone around you. And then you have to pay for another glass. This year you could have thrown it at the ground and it would have sunk about an inch and you just pick it up and move on.
Yep, that's right.
And it was great because, a lot of the times there are never enough water kegs for the amount of beer kegs.
Right.
So you always wind up awkwardly shaking out your taster of like, well, I just had some strange spiced barley wine thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm about to go try a Kolsch and I don't really want these crossing.
Right.
So you're trying to shake out the last drops of beer out of your tasting glass. This year you just held it for a minute, waited for it to fill up with snow, and then dumped.
Right. Yeah.
It was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very good. Yeah, it's always fun to go in the winter too, just because it's a little endearing being out there in the cold.
You feel good about yourself.
Yeah, you really
for some reason.
Everybody feels like they're really dedicated to the beer. Because you don't venture out in the Minnesota winter unless you really have to. Yeah. The nice thing about getting snow on that day is that at least it's warm enough to snow. That's what we always say here. If it's snowing outside, it can't be that cold.
It was warm enough to snow.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
If you get some people that overindulge a little, they just kind of tip over into the snowbank.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a lot nicer than a full splat.
Right.
You just sort of lean.
It's also funny to see the people who come totally unprepared to stand outside for 6 hours. Wasn't there a guy there in like
jeans
tennis shoes
and Vans?
Yeah, he was. Oh no, sneakers, not even tennis shoes. Just sneakers.
Sneakers.
Yeah.
He had canvas Vans.
Yeah.
On.
That was really insane
and
to me.
A leather jacket.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I go full Mama Brenda in about 4 minutes.
We told him to go to the inside portion,
I not only told him to go to the inside portion, I gave him directions and made sure he left.
Yeah, you didn't stop talking to him until he left.
He was trying to clean the snow off of his shoes so he could hold them over the open fire to attempt to feel his toes again.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we are in full snowmobiling snow pants.
That's right.
Boots. Parka, layers under all of these things, at least 1 pair of mittens, hat, probably 2nd pair of mittens in between beers, sometimes face mask, like that. I don't understand.
Right.
We live here.
Yeah.
We live here all the time.
Yeah, it's for some reason, even though I know these people are locals, they don't, I don't know. Jim Brew TV says that one dude in shorts, and yeah, there was probably a guy there in shorts.
Probably.
Yeah.
There's always a guy there in shorts. Or a kilt. There's always a kilt.
Yeah, you usually get a couple people in kilts.
It's like, I think you're cheating with this kilt. I hope you're cheating with this kilt.
Right. One of the videos I have coming up is on brewery accidents and brewery safety records. Yeah. So I think earlier this summer, there was kind of a big accident at Okay, all right. Sorry about the haze craze, but I'm going to mention one of the key players in the haze craze. I don't even know if you know this brewery name. Trillium. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Who do you think? I've been dating you for how long?
Yeah, all right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I have earned my beer knowledge.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, but like there was a contractor at Trillium that got really hurt after an overflow or after a valve came loose and sent some. Well, as any home brewer on here is gonna know, there's a lot of heat in that water, and you can get really hurt if a valve blows out in a on a giant boil tank. So yeah, but it's interesting to kind of see because a lot of craft brewers, at least here in the U.S., they position themselves as like we really care about the community. They're really community focused. But some of the criticism they receive is around like, well, you ask people to work really long hours. You ask them to do a lot of stuff. For the it's still a small business,
right?
So you're asking a lot of your employees. You might not be giving them as nice a benefits package as the large brewers can afford to give their employees. And so, you're asking them to do really long hours, really long shifts, and that can bring up the level of mistakes and safety concerns.
Yeah.
And it's actually a little bit of a big deal for the industry because craft brewers tend to have about 4 times as many safety incidents per employee as the big brewers do. So, it's an interesting kind of dynamic of the industry of, their marketing is like, we really care about the community. We really try to get everybody focused. But, a lot of times some of these safety concerns go by the wayside. Especially, I think a lot of drinkers just don't remember that the tap room they're walking into is also an industrial space.
Right.
That's the same spot where they're hauling big amounts of cleaning chemicals. They're hauling, they're boiling large vats of water. And it's a relatively not so safe space,
I mean, we've kind of brought off this conversation before in regard to the number of breweries that have now had to retract their dogs in tap rooms policy.
Yeah.
Like, I've said it once, I'll say it again. I am all for dogs and kids in tap rooms. I get it. But there are times when there are unattended either of those things, dogs or children, wandering towards large industrial equipment because I'm sorry, they're big and shiny and look cool and, for dogs at least, smell great.
Right.
If you're not watching, things will generally go that direction.
Right.
And you're like, Dad, this is not a place for you.
Yeah.
The tap room, great. But you have a lot of those places where tap room and active brewery are adjacent, if not the same space.
Mm-hmm. And it could be active that day, too.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we usually go on brew day to one of our local ones just because it smells nice.
Oh, it smells so good.
Like cookies. And everything smells like cookies.
Greg Lehman makes a great point that, some jobs are just more inherently dangerous. And I agree, brewing is definitely up there. But at the same time, though, if you want to say they have an incident rate per employee 4 times higher than the big guys, that's still a problem that needs to be dealt with for sure. I agree that, brewing is definitely not a low risk job, but, at the same time, I think the industry could be doing a lot better for sure. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think that's an area purely because stuff like machining or farming or a lot of like large equipment work doesn't bill itself as, I don't want to say like family friendly, but like very inclusively operative.
Right.
Like that's kind of an understandable risk level.
Yep.
I don't expect to be working a stockyard and be safe. I'm also not going to bring dogs and children and inebriated individuals to said place. So I think it's kind of a strange back and forth between like what is the public perception and what is the actual level of risk.
I actually just finished writing a video on that too, on dogs and kids at breweries. Yeah.
Did you?
So yeah.
Well, we talk about it so often.
We do. Well, you know, it's a big surprise. Things we talk. Well, we already got 3 video ideas people are stealing. So, you know, big surprise. Our conversations lead to video ideas. Yeah. Drunken One says leave the animals at the house. You know, I kind of agree with that.
I will give this to Drunken One. If Drunken One is taking an animal to the house, he has to travel a ways with the animal.
Yeah, that's right.
If I'm bringing a dog to a brewery, I'm usually on a walk with the dog, and there is a brewery. Mm-hmm. At which point, you know, I don't want to tie a dog outside because that's bad.
Right. Yep.
Admittedly, depending on whose dog it is, I'm not going in anyway, but
right. Mm-hmm.
The cat does not go on walks. The cat currently sleeps in laps, so...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Burning Beard also makes a good point that, you know, there's 5,000 craft breweries in the U.S. So, you know, statistically, you know, you're more likely to see some. I think the big one that I really looked at was the per employee basis. That, you know, I really wanted to control for, you know, the amount of breweries. But yeah, I definitely see what he's saying. And then, you know, of course, small businesses in general, a lot more safety risk than large ones.
Yeah.
Mostly because large businesses tend to take a lot of time to avoid lawsuits.
Well, and you've got that, where is your expenditure happening on facilities versus human input?
Right.
I mean, we are not alarmist by any means.
No.
Saying like, oh, craft beer is killing people.
No.
For God's sake, I broke my toe at work one day and I work as a designer.
Right. Yep.
Like, accidents happen everywhere.
Right.
This isn't an avoidable thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Jim Brew TV, thank you for the story recommendation. I appreciate that. I'll look it up.
You're gonna look that one up alone.
Oh yeah?
Yep.
All right. Yeah. And then Drunken One says the big breweries are a little more automated, so it takes the humans away from the danger, which is definitely true.
Yeah.
That's definitely part of it. They're
assuming all goes according to plan.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yep. Yeah, I think with that, I don't have much more to talk about today. How about you? Any other beer topics?
Our beers are nearly empty, and my stomach is also very empty.
Yeah, that's right. We should probably go make some dinner, huh?
It is about dinner time, and I think you are cooking, so.
Yeah, that's right. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. Cheers. Have a good one. We'll see you around this week with some more great beer-related videos. I promise I have a new video coming out soon. So cheers. Have a good night.